Hello and welcome to Cover 3 presented by Papa John's. I'm Manny Robinson along with Scott Kiefer and Marcel Louis-Jacques. Elizabeth LaFleur will join us later. We're serving up 3 slices of Clemson football for Greenville News, the Answer Independent Mail, and Orange and White. And now we got to set the table for this big matchup with Auburn. Clemson had their 4th stadium scrimmage Saturday, but things get real this week.
Yes, they do. This is the real lid lifter if you look at it objectively. This Clemson-Auburn series has been going for a while, and it's hard to believe this will be the 6th meeting between the programs in the past decade. And Clemson has won the last 3, but each of the games has been dramatic, hotly contested, hard-hitting. Throw in your own adjectives here, but the bottom line is they've been very fun to watch and entertaining, and I would expect more of the same this Saturday. Clemson has been made an early 6.5-point favorite, and if you look at the previous 5 meetings, they've been decided by an average of 6.5 points. Wow. Coincidence? I think not. I think not.
Someone was just being lazy with the line.
That's right. That's what it is.
But things kind of opened up outside of that for Clemson.
Big news out of the ACC this weekend. Florida State starting quarterback De'Anna Francois is out for the season with a torn patella tendon. That's a huge loss for the number 3 Seminoles. Now they're going to be looking to true freshman James Blackman. All of a sudden, the road opens up for Clemson to win the ACC for a 3rd straight year, and it turns from avoiding the trap games and beating Florida State to just win the games that you're supposed to, and you should get a trip to Charlotte later on in December.
Awaiting every Tiger fan in Death Valley Saturday was a Tiger rag emblazoned with the championship logo. Now we caught up with the man responsible for this signature mark.
What a great time to be a Tiger. Our partners at Coca-Cola are continuing our championship celebration with these limited edition commemorative glass bottles.
The Coke bottles recently went on sale, and I happened to be with my father-in-law at the time, and so we went by a store that we heard had it in stock, and they were giving out like 6 packs at a time, and the only one, he went up and he said, hey, can I grab one and one for my son-in-law, and by the way, he designed the logo, can we get an extra one? And so first of all, they were like, no. But the kind of the funny thing is I actually had a woman approach me and say, is he serious? Did you do that? And so I signed my first autograph at the Ingalls and Easley. So it's been really cool. The way that the process started is that, as the season started to progress, we got about halfway through the year and the results started falling in a really positive direction. And so our director of external operations, Tim Match, who oversees communications and marketing and ticketing and a lot of the external things that Clemson fans see on a daily basis, he came to me and he said, hey, do you think you'd like to take a crack at designing a logo if we were able to win this thing? It's obviously a huge opportunity for the school to be able to be on that spotlight and to have that stage. And we wanted something that was just a little bit more personal. There were a couple of things that I decided that I definitely wanted to incorporate. One of them would be an example of the rock pedestal, which I actually went through and kind of sketched out and traced out, and I wanted to use that as kind of my shield. The Clemson helmet stripe is iconic. Nobody else has that color combination. And another key one too is alluding to the location. And so, this one being in South Florida, it was sort of a natural one where you think palm tree, and the thing that it had in common with the previous national championship is both of them were in South Florida, and so picked 2 of them and said one kind of represents each of those championships in the South Florida location. As far as the exact species of palm tree, couldn't tell you what it is, but that was something from a symbolic standpoint that I felt like Clemson fans would understand. I'm not entirely comfortable with the attention for it, just because there's people that put in real blood, sweat, tears to win that championship, and very late nights, very early mornings, and what they put in on a year-to-year basis was like the real work. And I don't have a loss of appreciation for all of that, but it's cool for us design guys, for us computer geeks, to get a little bit of a shout out too sometimes. But it brings me a lot of pride as an alum to be able to have brought that flavor of it to something that so many people have seen, and hopefully it's something that is meaningful to them. And any time that they see that mark, they're going to remember the games. They're not going to remember the logo itself, but they're going to remember the moments. They're going to remember the catch. They're going to remember the beating of Ohio State. They're going to remember that entire run. And to be able to help create something that jogs people's memory for a long time is something that brings me a lot of pride.
He's grown up on the Clemson sideline around his father. Now true freshman WIll Swinney is seeing the Tigers program from the other side.
You know, when we're at home and stuff, whenever I go by the house, I mean, that's my dad, and we'll talk. I mean, we don't have to really talk about football. It's just like just life and stuff. But you know, when I was up here, it's not really too hard for me. It's still my dad, but I just view him as the coach, my coach. He coached me in travel baseball and basketball, so I'm used to him coaching me, and I'm used to him being the coach here. So it really hasn't been too big of a change. I've been holding all in high school and stuff, and I knew I'd have a chance to be the holder at Clemson, but you know, I thought I was going to redshirt and stuff because Seth Ryan had another year left, but he decided to graduate early, and now he's working for the Chargers, and Teasdale was a backup holder, so he left too. So like the only other guy left was Hunter Renfro, and they don't want him having to play like start receiver and do that. So I knew I'd have a chance, and I was like, well, I mean, probably good to go ahead and lock this job up while I can. So I worked at it with all summer and stuff with the snappers at Hugel, and I got pretty good at it, and this fall camp I earned it. You know, I've been trying to envision it all the time, and it was everything I could imagine and more than that. It just, the whole day, just going down the hill and then running out on the field, it literally felt like a dream. Like it was a feeling I had never experienced. My whole life, I'm used to like staying back on the sideline, don't go on the field. And now like, when we scored, I'm like running on the field and I'm like, am I supposed to be doing this right now? Or like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. It was crazy, really. And you know, and I'm just, also, it was just a new routine to get used to, because I'm used to like doing the touch chart on game day and stuff. Now, like, I don't have a chart and stuff, and I'm not going around and to seeing family before game. Like, I'm locked in, ready to go. So it was just it was a different experience, but I liked it a lot.
And now let's throw it to the fourth member of our team, Elizabeth LaFleur, who caught up with a bunch of Clemson fans prior to Saturday's game.
So listen, guys, we all know you can wear whatever you want when you're going to support your favorite team, but we also know that some people have pretty strong opinions about how you should dress if you're going to go to a Clemson game or even to tailgate. So I talked with one Clemson student who has some advice for anyone who's looking for that sort of thing.
Anissa Snipes is a junior at Clemson who came highly recommended when we reached out in search of someone who could give game day fashion advice. For those who've never been to a game, Snipes' best advice is to dress comfortably.
Make sure you're dressed for the weather, because one day it could be a noon game and it could be super, super hot, or it could be a thunderstorm, a hurricane, and we could be out there in the drenched in rain.
For those who wish to dress up, Snipes suggests checking out the boutiques downtown and following trends.
A huge trend right now are rompers and like just dresses. And like cowgirl boots and sandals, or you could even wear like a t-shirt which is really, really comfortable with a cute skirt. So it depends on the person and their personal styles.
And for those who opt for high heels, she says they'll want to be aware of Clemson's terrain.
Clemson has a lot of hills, and you do a lot of walking, especially when you're going from tailgate to tailgate. So I've worn heels a couple of times, and I've kind of regretted it sometimes, but then you also like look super cute. So honestly, it just depends if you want to make the trek in heels the whole entire day, because you are out there all day.
As for those people on social media who said t-shirts are unacceptable, that seems to be changing, but so is the way that they're worn.
Just a shirt that says "Go Tigers," or I don't know, like any kind of graphic tee, and like just tying it up at the side and like wearing it with a skirt is really in right now.
And when it comes to dressing for a game against an opponent like Auburn with strikingly similar colors, Snipes says accessories are the key.
I would wear all orange or all white, and just like throw in purple accents, and a lot of purple accents will make it better.
So whether fans are rocking a t-shirt, a romper and high heels, or those famous orange overalls, really their best bet is to just make sure they're going to be comfortable, because game days are long days. Oh, and they may want to take Anissa's advice and leave the garnet and black at home. For Cover 3, I'm Elizabeth LaFleur.
Well, that'll do it for us this week on Cover 3. I'm Manny Robinson for Scott Kiefer, Marcel Louis-Jacques, Elizabeth LaFleur, and Bart Boatwright behind the camera on the ones and twos. Thanks for joining us, and catch us next week right here on Cover 3, presented by Papa John's.